What's up, world? It's BJ the Chicago Kid.
Jason Derulo.
Sean McCoy.
Shantae Moore.
Jacob Lattimore.
7th Streeter.
It's your girl Little Mo. Be sure to check out Concert Daily all the time.
I'm Shawn Caesar, co-founder of Unruly Records.
What up, yo? I'm DJ Class, a.k.a. Mr. I'm the Ish. Unruly Records in the building.
And I am Debonair Samir, Unruly Records. Producer.
So, we here today, Baltimore's getting the first Baltimore Club Music Day. So, from your perspective, what can fans expect? And are y'all surprised that it took so long to get this day?
I'll jump in. Well, first I was talking about what fans can expect. It's for the first time we'll be able to recognize most of the people that was involved with Baltimore Club or had something to do or piece or part or anything. The goal of this was to recognize the sound and try to include everybody, not single out any particular label, genre, or not genre, but generation of crew. So, with 30 years of Baltimore club music happening, it is quite a buildup of talent over that time. So, the consumer can expect an acknowledgement from old to new with some of these guys, as well as incredible DJ sets from some of the greatest DJs that ever did Baltimore Club and the new ones that are currently doing it. So trying to cover that whole gamut while doing performances with some of your club songs. And my man Class is going to hit the stage and said he got some surprises. I know Rod Lee hitting the stage, he talking trash. So we're going to see. We'll see how this goes. What you guys say, Class?
You better watch out, man. That's all I'm saying. Watch out. I definitely got a whole lot going on. I'm going to be, I can't give it all away, but I will say it's going to be exciting for the young and the old. Well, seasoned. So it's going to be a very interesting show. And it's funny because I always wanted to be on the AFRAM stage. It's like a bucket list thing for me, being on AFRAM and doing Baltimore Club, because technically we never really had an opportunity to do that. Like, and especially this magnitude, we just haven't been able to do it.
Yep.
So. Yeah.
That's a shout out to the mayor and to the city for, kind of embracing this whole concept. As soon as we mentioned it to the city and to Mayor Scott specifically, they were on it and about it right away and very supportive. So, I think the timing was right. We had a mayor that has lived club music all his life, and that's what he knows. So it afforded us the opportunity to really move forward with this day and hopefully keep it going next year and growing it from here.
So like y'all say, that's going to cross generations. You brought it up to the mayor. He was down for it. I hear y'all excitement. I see the excitement on social media. So you guys, clearly the forefront. Or what do you think this day means to the city? Like you say, this is your first time being on the AFRAM stage. So what do you think this will mean to the community?
I think for a sound that's been so underground, for years, I think it's a real good moment of being seen and heard from people who feel that they have not been seen or heard when it comes to their sound, their music, their culture, the way they dress, the way they dance. A lot of what we talk about in the songs, a lot of what people perceive us as from the outside looking in. Also, this, in my eyes, honestly, I would think this is another moment where you don't say the word Baltimore and say, "Oh, The Wire." Now you can say Baltimore. Oh yeah, Baltimore club music. So we got another thing that we can add to it, which is for me a positive. In regard to our culture and how we do things.
I also would say, watching people's reaction. I think everybody's happy from an artist and talent kind of standpoint. People who are being honored, that acknowledgement finally is a big deal. I think we all felt that. Like when we first heard the concept, we were like, it felt good that at least it was recognized, and I think the timing of it is important because of the spread of club music in general right now, what it's doing in the mainstream. So I thought it was an important time. I think we're overall very honored, just to be recognized, to have that moment where we all put in a lot of work, hundreds of us, right? And to be recognized for that and keep it going, I think is a big deal. Same here.
Yeah. Same here. I agree that he just took the words out of my mouth. I was just I'm happy for the recognition that the well-deserved recognition that Baltimore, deserves, because from the outside, people from the outside don't even know what Baltimore Club is. They associate it now with Philly and Jersey, and so I personally am happy for the community that we finally about to get the acknowledgement and the seeds has been planted to know we're the ones that originated this music that's now about to become a global phenomenon. So people don't know that it's about to become a global. What's already becoming a global phenomenon. So
For the second time.
for the second time, no, for the third time.
For the third time.
For the third time.
For the third time.
And to add to that, so that we do collaborate on how we did it 3 times. Just back in the 90s when we first started doing it, the sound was really big. And, of course, we had a man named Frank Ski who did do Brown. And that was huge for our city. And that was where it all kind of started. Almost
That national hit.
right, the big national hit. And then we had our local successes. But then, K-Swift passed away, rest in peace, K-Swift. A year later, we do I'm the Ish. Then there's Lil Jon, Kanye West, Fat Man Scoop, Pitbull, you name it. Almost every artist that could flow like that jumped on that particular record and others like it, which really led us on to the other records that they did that kind of mimic our sound. And now it's coming back. It's coming back again with artists that we never would thought jump on those kind of records and create them kind of records, actually making those records. And it's cool to have that sound again. So, yeah.
I think to that point, we've been here so long, we didn't watch it come and go up and down a roller coaster 3 times. And it's really a tribute, like, that's the longevity of it. It's been 30 plus years. So every 10 years approximately, every new generation kind of hears it for the first time and kind of picks up something new, wants it for themselves. And I think that's a key part to this, but that just shows the longevity and the consistency that has been coming from Baltimore and the club music scene.
This has been going on for a long time in Baltimore club music, but like take me back to y'all's individual beginning. What was that moment when, you was working on a song and, you was like, this may be a little hit. This may be something to get the people going.
Huh. Well, you know what? I part of us is the arrogance. Like, I would say this. Arrogance as a DJ, you kind of know. I don't know if it's arrogance or confidence, but it's a certain know that you have. And I knew what my crowd, like, I thought I knew. And I tell people a lot of times that was us just making stuff we liked. And we were able to play it and push our crowd to that point. I think I thought everything I did was the greatest ever. I was about to say, right? I think all of us can sit here and say every track we ever did was the greatest thing we ever did, right? So,
Yeah, I tell you.
right? I think from a creator standpoint and a DJ and producer standpoint, we always felt those songs, and there were certain songs that we knew would do better than others, or we could hear what we were doing, to be honest. But we thought we could, push everybody to that direction, and then they follow us.
Yeah, that's true. And because our community, even then, was pretty close-knit. So I could make a song today. I can call Boo Man tomorrow or KW Griff or Mike Crosby and say, hey, man, I got something new. I'm coming through. Frank and Hammerjacks, I could go to Hammerjacks and just pass it to Booby. 15 minutes later, they playing it. And you see the crowd's reaction right then and there. Whether it's a DAT tape, a cassette tape, a reel-to-reel, because we did all that then. Or we order like acetates, which is like the vinyl before they make the pressings. Very delicate, but they can still play it. And just to see the crowd react, like the first time I saw a crowd react to one of my songs, you couldn't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me nothing to see
Yeah.
1,000, 2,000 people jump into a song I just made
Right.
a day ago.
Right.
So, there's a
That's
bit of
real.
arrogance about it.
Yes.
Y'all be hitting it on the nail. Like,
Talk, man. Listen, he gonna say something because he
Yeah.
always try to play the humble role. You gotta say something, man. Tell him about your travels and
All right, answer this. When Samir's theme came out,
How did you feel?
what happened? What'd you know?
Oh, damn, it was amazing at the tunnel. Quick played it.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's about it.
Quick played it.
Quick stuff.
And seeing people, the 2,000 people dancing to this stuff was an incredible rush. But my first one was K Swift. She played, no, I am telling the fib. It is DJ Swirl Out. He the one that actually
Played it
started playing my music, and K Swift heard it
and picked it up.
and then my whole life changed. Okay. Like literally overnight. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was my
dope.
pivotal moment.
Yeah.
Talking about the history, talking about, longevity, your moments. So like, we go back, right? Baltimore club music is reaching its impact. We gotta talk about Unruly Records. So how important was it to have the space, a label, people behind you to help curate that and help, spread it, put it on the map, make it, the people heard it. So how important was that to you to have that community?
Well, I think it was a more community of all of us pushing each other. It was, I really think back to that time, and it was just literally a bunch of friends. We were all friends that DJ'd and wanted to make music. So it was more of a passion thing, I think, and having all of us push each other in the city. Like Danny said, it was a small group to a certain, when as it started out. But I think having each other around, it was more of that. Like, we the only ones that believed in us at that point. And that was an important part.
Another important part that I know he's not going to say, so I'm going to be the one to say. I don't mind. I'm going to tell you what it is. I think really the blessing in what we created was the fact that this man, I met him, was a big fan of his work as a DJ. And when he was young, he decided to take a step back and play the business role. Nobody was doing that. And this is why it was created the way it is, because Shawn took a step back, really a step up in leadership, and became the business of Baltimore club music and our sound and our culture. So a lot of almost anything you could think of that's significant, Shawn's got a hand in it because he's the business behind a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? Where a lot of people love to be in front of the camera. They love to be behind the board, behind the DJs, right? But Shawn took that role of being a leader and the businessman behind it. And I would hope, for me, for the future, I would hope that a lot of the young kids understand that, guess what, there's a big role to play behind the camera, just like you guys, a big role to play behind the desk, the
writing
back
the
office, writing the songs, publishing the songs, being the business, making sure that things on the business side works alongside of the music to keep the music business going, not just the music.
I appreciate that, and to that point, it was a tough decision, because I knew I couldn't DJ and still rock with DJs. I'm gonna take everything for myself. Like, you can't tell arrogance once again. Like I'm telling you, nobody's gonna tell you. But if I want to book DJ Class, I'm available. You don't need him. But I think made that decision, and I enjoyed looking at the framework of it, or how we could grow it, or pushing it, and it became more my being to make sure we kind of pushed it along and got out of Baltimore as much as we could. But no, I appreciate that. Like that's really how it happened. Like I stopped DJing.
Yeah. Became the big dog. Check right up.
Right. I miss
right.
DJing though. I miss y'all. I still want to do what y'all do.
Now, to your point, right? You said like Shawn stepped up to the business role, and you said like you hope like the current DJs, they kind of understand your points behind it, and what y'all did going forward. Do you think there's like a gap between y'all and the current ones that got to be bridged, or you think there's something to learn from each other, sort of thing?
Let me jump real quick on that. Then I'm gonna let y'all answer. I would. I think that the difference is how it's made and distributed now. We were a team because we needed a team to be able to do it. It was vinyl, right? And that took $1 trillion to put out back then. It seemed like to us, and it just took more to put out, and we almost needed that village of us to kind of build that situation. Now, you can upload your stuff by yourself tonight and be on the same shelf as everybody, Jay-Z and everybody. So I think that part has changed. So it's not so much a bridging of the gap, but I will say for the other crews is to see, what the Unruly crew has done. We're still here. Like, and that's key. That's what you take from it is stay with your crew, stay down, stay with your boys. And, it took us 25 years to come up before we had our overnight hit, right? Was it 20 years?
It was 20 years.
20 years for our overnight hit.
Right.
So that's the main thing we take from it is that we stayed down and did it for love because it wasn't the money, it was the love until it hit, and then it hit.
And then he was the shit.
Yeah.
Given everything you guys said, right? The history, the going back and forth, the generations, going forth. We touched on it a little bit, but do you think that club music across the board has gotten the respect that it deserves?
No, absolutely not. Respect, yes, but not what it deserves. No, not at all.
I think, it's starting to happen. You know what I mean? I think this is one of them pivotal moments, because now we give a target for it to be appreciated. Like with this, with our own day, it kind of puts it on a pedestal, so to speak, so at least people can speak of it in that manner. Like, but I think it's coming. You listen to the sound of music now; it's faster than it was 2 years ago. It seems like, what I mean, with the up tempos that are coming and more of the, artists, mainstream artists using the sound. So I don't think it's done. I hope this is a starting point for it to be recognized worldwide.
Yeah, now absolute catapult moment, so that we can. Again, people do know who we are and what we are, but to see it normalized in every facet of music, like let's say, being able to go to your Spotify or your title and it actually is listed as a genre in there. Mm-hmm. That's what's up next, because you can always write your own stuff in there, but when it's really considered a genre in those spaces, like worldwide spaces, I think that's when we're really going to get the respect. And also just showing people, again, just the origins of it, where it come from and who started it, but not just who started it, the songs that made what they do now relevant. I think our flowers are coming.
Yep.
I think like me personally, I know I saw like a little bit of it more across social media when Dark City Beneath the Beat came out. Started seeing some more people like, oh, like, who's this, who's that? Seeing in the comments, reaching out. So with that and what that did, how do y'all feel like that added to the consumption or the awareness of what was already happening?
I think all that is key. You know what I mean? Those are the conversation starters that lead you back to Baltimore Club, and those are the things that we need to do. Much like the 17th is a conversation starter that leads you back to Baltimore Club. So I thought what TT did was amazing, shedding light on the city and the sound from her perspective, from an art perspective. And I think, of course, my phone rang, your phone rang. That's the conversation starters, right? So I think those things are important.
And to add to that, well, first off, shout out to TT, the artist. She made an incredible movie. It was really put together well. And what I was happy about is forever people knew the sound. And when that movie came out, they started understanding the culture along with the sound, the dancing along with the sound, what we do, how we operate in the city with the sound. And be honest, it's not even scratching the surface.
Right.
So I know we have more to say, more movies to come, more documentaries.
It's more.
We have
more than hype coming. We got it's documentaries now, so that's happening. I don't know if I can say the name of the other one I just talked, but something along the lines of the word liberated, and I'm gonna leave it at that, right? So, but yeah, I think the more of those that happen, and the more of the culture of the creators that are from here do those things, it helps push the dialogue forward, and that's what we need.
Following up on that, right? individually, how has y'all creative process changed over the years when it comes to, making the music?
Samir.
How
yes.
have the creative process changed? Actually, for me, it never changed. I've continued to do Baltimore club music and never stopped because I did it kind of on a global level, like more on a commercial pop level. I'm just ecstatic that it's reaching the heights that it's reaching because people don't have no clue how big it's getting right now. So, and then to go back to what Shawn said, he planted the seeds by Class and Shawn starting this Baltimore Club Music Day is that people gonna know, oh, it came from them. So it actually, it enhanced my creative process. It enhanced it. I'm ready to go every day and come out with some new stuff. Like, I feel like a kid again.
Literally.
I feel like a kid
Literally.
again. I wake up in the morning ready to make some tracks. I'm ready to play.
I think as creators, and what's funny is people will know. I don't think once you create, it's hard to stop. Like I still do it daily, right? You can't help it. I think what changed was, and you find yourself in a different era, right? We come from the DJ era where we controlled the dance floor, and so to speak, and we were making music from that stand. I always tell people I see tracks from a DJ booth, even still now. I've been in the DJ booth in 30 years.
Right.
But I still make music like I'm looking at it from a DJ booth. But the weird thing is that that's not how music is consumed now. It's like it's in a minute and 9-second intervals on TikTok or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So that might be the only thing. Your creative process never changes. Your final deliverable changes because of whatever the medium is that's current now. Yeah. And I think that was the weirdest part. And I think the way to say it best is like we used to have records that were 8 minutes long, 9 minutes long, because we were DJs. Right now, that's ridiculous.
Right.
Like I don't think.
Right now, they think it's too long when it's 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Right.
We used to air them records out, man. Them breaks be long, and people dance to them, and it's amazing to see them with the progression of how we go from the beginning to the build-up to the climax, and we go all the way down. And it'd be 7, 8, sometimes 9 minutes.
Yep.
Now it's a minute and 15 seconds.
Literally. Like, that's not a joke, but hey, I don't think the process ever changes. It's the era and how you're delivering the music is what changes.
And spoke on Baltimore club music is getting more popularity. More people know about it. But in your own words, clearly it's still going to continue. But what do you think the legacy of Baltimore club music is?
That's a good question. What the legacy is? Well, I think one of the things that we're all most proud of is like that's literally came from the mud straight out of Baltimore to where it's going. I ain't gonna say where it is now because it's still going. I think one of the proudest things is that's literally something we can call our own. Like we literally made from scratch, from the mud, and DJ'd it at first in the late 80s, you know what I mean? Kind of making our own breaks through DJ. And then until we started creating our own records. So that's one of the proudest things is we weren't copying nothing else sounded like this. We were outside of Baltimore. We were weirdos for playing music like that. You know what I mean? That it wasn't cool in New York. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. Nobody wanted this, right? And it seems like now we were just ahead of our time, and obviously we were. We were 30 years ahead of our time. So
yeah. I think also, for me, what would make me feel the most proud is to actually see, and I'm thinking from a total business standpoint. Like we all get it, the artistry, the culture, and all that stuff. But I can't wait to see the first big superstar in Baltimore club. The first person that their face is plastered everywhere, and you put them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that kind of stuff, and it's all Baltimore club music. I mean, when we see that person, him or her, where all around the world they just want to do that, and they're inspired, and Grammys, and all that stuff. When we get to that point, that will make me proud because honestly, that's still kind of the measure in music a little bit. So As long as I stood the measure, I want to see one of us in there.
That's right.
And I always looked at Baltimore Baltimore club music is we're the distant cousin of hip hop. So in a dance perspective, because it's gritty and dirty. That's why I loved it so much, the raw and grit of it. And that's the question was how we viewed the music as a whole. Like I always looked at it as a ghetto cousin of hip hop. That these gentlemen, they created on their own, and it was just so raw to me. Because I used to break dance and all that stuff too. So when I seen this new type of dancing and this new culture and the music, and it incorporated hip hop, what? And then old soul, well, incorporated everything. The cartoons, it's no limits of Baltimore Club.
Yeah, it was the whole thing. One of the things we talk about was like how club came to form from different. I think I'm looking at it from a house standpoint that blended into club, and then I think some people were making club from a hip hop perspective. But then when you bring all of those elements together, that's how we finalize Baltimore Club, right? So that's why I'm saying the DJ aspect. That's why there's so many DJs on this, is because it started from that craft first. Like he said, much like hip hop, there was no Baltimore Club records, but they had records that had breaks like Precious Red and those. So we would run those breaks like a hip hop record. Those breaks, Precious Red and Sing Sing and those breaks ended up becoming the base of Baltimore Club. But it started out as us DJing liking those breaks. And that's where I think that early formation came. That was that late 80s, really early 90s piece. And that's the quote-unquote pioneers that were kind of influential and instrumental in that part of it. And that's why it's mostly DJs. That's all we had. It wasn't no music yet. We had to make it as DJs.